Hey, my name's James Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now, in America, they've just approved something very, very big, which I suspect we will look at doing something very, very soon, very similar to revitalise the housing market. You see, we've got a general election coming up. The Conservatives need to make sure there is not a housing crash. Now, there could well be one, but they are struggling in the polls going into this next general election. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get the Bank of England to push banks to do something similar. So in America, you have a type of mortgage which is FHA. And so these mortgages are Federal Housing Administration, and they are for people with lower credit ratings. They're similar to the mortgages that we had before that were self-certification. Mortgages prior to 2008 were actually fairly easy to get, whereas now there's a lot of stuff that needs to be checked out. Now, these mortgages are backed by the government. They're insured, so the lender has way less risk, meaning they will throw money at these kind of deals because they're going to make margin on the money that they lend. So an FHA mortgage has been around for a while, but where it's different is they've now just approved them for 40 years. So that is going to keep that market moving. It's similar in America. They've got an election next year as well. And so they want to make sure that the house market is back on track by that point to support them in the re-election campaign. And so an FHA loan is normally high, well, it could be seen as high risk. It's probably more risk to the government than the lender because they're the ones underlying and insuring this. Now, why does this look like it's so important for the UK market? Well, right now, where we're struggling in the UK is with affordability. We have a few lenders that have 40-year deals, but not many. And I've said in videos over the last year on this channel, I believe that one way that we're going to keep this housing market propped up, albeit maybe artificially, is by giving longer loans to people. And so if we start making 40-year mortgages more normal, then that is going to keep that housing market higher. Now, what you've got to think is when someone buys a house, they don't buy with logic very often. People watching this channel, you might be more logical when you look at transactions and making money. But when you're buying your home, it's an emotional thing. And so people want the best home that they can possibly get, and they're more concerned about what's the money, the monthly payment going out each month, rather than how much they pay back in total. So with a 40-year mortgage in the UK, you could get them with small deposits. So you can still get these with just a 5% deposit, meaning you don't need to put much money down. But where they really come into their own is making them more affordable, right? And that right now is really what people care about. And so the affordability is going to become that much little bit better. And that means that they can maybe offer that little bit more than they want to secure that property. And that will keep that market from maybe not declining as much as people possibly think. So let's look at some figures here. So if you were to borrow 100 grand, I'm using an example from NerdWallet, so I'm going to stick with what they've got. And so they're saying if you've got a rate of 3.5%, meaning the rates do need to come down, you can get 3.89 at the moment. But if you've got 3.5%, which you might be able to get by the end of next year, and so if on that rate you paid that over 25 years, you would be paying a monthly payment of £501. Right? Not too bad. Now, this, if you then looked at extending that to 40 years, payment drops significantly here to £388. Now, that really is making that property way more affordable, isn't it? And so that's the problem that is in the market right now, is affordability. As soon as that comes back, that affordability, transactions will start increasing again. and then we'll be back on the roller coaster of moving that housing market forward. So I just feel that banks are looking now at what's the difference and what can they do to lend more money, because at the end of the day, this slow market is not good for banks. They want new transactions because they get fees, they get more money coming in, and this will make a big difference to them. Now, this is another huge win for the banks as well, which I think it's likely to get more push through and more likely to happen, because let's look at the difference in the interest. So if you borrowed 100 grand for 25 years, you would pay back £150,000, £238, right? That's on 25 years. Now, where the bank really does well here is if you are to go on the 40-year deal, then you're going to pay back £186,000 and 41 pence. Now, that's way better for the bank, isn't it? That's a huge difference, about 50% more interest that they're going to make if they're able to push these products out the door. Now, also the benefit for them is the house prices will likely go up, so you'll probably need to borrow more. Now, with these mortgages, 40 years, you don't know what's going to happen. Interest rates in 10 years could go back to 0.1%. So with a 40-year deal, you're not tied in, there's no penalties, you can leave. They're pretty flexible on these deals because they know that you can't have that predictability about what's going to happen a decade from now, or 2 decades from now, or even 30 years out from now. And so they have to give you that flexibility, otherwise nobody would take those deals. But some people are lazy, they'll get on this deal, they can't be bothered to switch around. People do this with credit cards, they're on high APRs, they don't balance hop to go on a new interest-only deal. And so this is a big, real consideration. And I think that if these products become more popular and more visible on things like Money Supermarket, if you've got an option here and they say, look, you could pay £500 a month, or why don't we reduce your payments down? They could even offer lower fees on those mortgages, and your payment will go from 500 to 388. I know that the majority of people would go for the lower monthly payment, regardless of the fact that they might pay more interest. I really think that people will do that. People have options to buy laptops and they'll pay 30% interest when they could figure it out and have got it on a personal loan for 10%. They want the easy convenience and they are willing to pay more. And I think that if these deals become more like visible, I really, really feel that that will mean people will push their budgets up, because yes, you know what? Maybe they'll say, well, on a 25 years, it's £500 a month, but on a 40 years, it's 388, but I could afford 500. So why don't I, instead of buying a 100 grand house, buy a 130 grand house and get an extra bedroom? Or they're just willing to push their offer price up that little bit more. I think these deals really could change the market. But what do you feel? I'd love to know your thoughts on this. They seem to be a big thing in America this week, particularly with this FHA, which is the basically anyone can borrow pretty much. It's very similar to subprime mortgages because they're insured. They're better for the bank because actually they're less risk than just a normal person that's got a job that could lose it. These are insured by the government, so they're going to get paid regardless. I'd rather take those deals all day long if I were them. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think 40-year mortgages are going to become more common in the UK? I do, for sure. I do feel that they could push house prices up. I think people will buy more than they need, because at the end of the day, all they really care about is what is the monthly payment. Do like this video, do subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, guys. We're nearly at 5,000 subscribers now. You could be that person that helps us get there. Our target is to get there in April. It's going to be tough, but you could help us get that target. So do subscribe, hit the bell, check out all the other content on my channel, including this video right here.